Sarvebhyo Namaha. Welcome to 12th day of Oneness Festival. And it has been a wonderful opportunity to celebrate Adi Shankara heritage by having a seminar in the morning and a seminar in the evening through the web. And today we have the good fortune of having Swami Satchidananda speak about why is Shankara's Vedanta relevant to modern India and the world. Swami Satchidananda is a Vedantic Acharya following the traditional methods of Advaita Vedanta. He comes in the Parampara of Swami Sivananda Saraswati, and in the Purvasram, he is a grandson of Swami Brahmananda Saraswati, who was a direct disciple of Swami Sivananda. He was educated in management and finance, and he was one of the earliest propagator of quality management. And he is the founder of Sivananda Sadhana Kutir Welfare Trust, and located in Tamil Nadu near Chennai. Swamiji, you are most welcome to turn on the video, and I look forward to listening to your talk.
Sadashiva Samarambam Shankaracharya Madhyamam Asmadacharya Paryantam Vande Param Guru-Parampara. Om Shanti Sahana Bhavatu Sahano Gunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavai Tejasvinam Aditamastu Ma Vidvishavai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Tat Sat. Good morning, good evening, friends all over the world. Some of you may be in the morning, some may be in the evening, some may be in some other part of the day. Welcome to this conference. I'll be speaking to you on so-called modern India or modern world, and what is happening with the Shankara's Vedanta. I'm calling it Shankara's Vedanta because he was the one who has allowed this continuity to happen. Vedas has been there for eternity. So I will try to take up, we can do a lot of coverage, some significant issues from here and see, one, is there a relevance at all for what's happening here? And two, is there anything that we can do for tomorrow? Because there is no point in just talking about something and not being able to come up with some to-do action. I think today the to-do action is very significant. So when you talk about something which is modern, sometimes I wonder, the Aboriginal people, the tribal people, the Aboriginal Americans, and various other tribes seem to be more modern in their thinking as compared to the current lot of people whom we have here. So when we talk about modern, what is really this modern that we are talking about? Let me first deal with the area of Advaita. Now, traditionally we know that Advaita is very good, and it's a step forward towards the higher goal of Atman and Brahman. And it was actually Shankara who made this very clear, that thing doesn't stop with Advaita. Now, in the modern world, what has happened today is that just like you have attachment in samsara, people have the attachment to the form of the gods. That other attachments don't come down. But this attachment is also there. And the equation that is used, because I'm always also try to give you the equation in such situation. My God is superior to your God is the equation. Even among Hindus, always there's a tussle between Shivites and Vaishnavites. I don't know what degree, but there is in Kumbakonam, for example, a road where the Shivites won't, the Vaishnavites won't go through because there is a Shiva temple out there. But coming to the core idea, right, is that the form of God is a good thing. You must hold on to it. You must be able to grow out of it and enlarge yourself to the higher concept of the non-form God. But because this attachment is so high, today's world, if you look at the last 150 years, 200 years, this attachment to the form, or you can say their own religion, is the cause of some of the greatest ills in society. You talk about extremism, it comes from there. You talk about anger, you talk about hatred, talk about discrimination, you talk about violence, you talk about war. All of that is somewhere rooted in this idea that my God is superior to your God, and so on and so forth. They say it's okay, we can accept it. But in heart of our heart, we don't. That is the reality. And should be it's become a bane to society. So therefore, when we are talking about Vedanta, Vedanta tries to break this because it's a lower level. It tries to break this to take you on from one form of God to many forms which you see outside. Everything is God. And then, of course, for the non-form, which is in the form of pure consciousness. So, if we are taking this steps forward, then it's good. But today, for whatever reason, always say due to Kali Yuga, whatever it is, we are stuck with that. And more people are stuck with that. So what happens? The divisions are growing bigger and bigger and bigger. If you see the last 20, 25 years, 30 years, the divisions between religions have become very great, particularly through major religions in the world. They become very great. And they cause for continuous day-to-day tensions that go on with this system. Of course, even within a religion, there are various small things that form attachment in that. So I am saying that if we are, one of the reasons why we can really seriously think of educating people on Vedanta on a mass scale is at least they can find other things, other religions, other forms of God acceptable, and they can also grow out to see that everything that we see outside is a reflection of that reality, which is the uncaused cause. And I've seen this happening with people who are getting slowly educated, right? They haven't gone into depth, but it is possible for them. They are able to break through that process. Even if the basic information, basic knowledge of Atma Bodha, Tattva Bodha is given to them. Okay? So this is the kind of a bane now in society. My God, your God is superior. The second thing which is happening in the modern world is, of course, we are going to a dharma-free world. Dharma, as far as possible, we will keep talking about it. But in actual implementation, we are going further away and further and further away from it. Take, for example, people are not applying their mind when you look at them and ask the question, what is the value of this value that you value? You have to go through a process to understand Dharma. people are not doing that. They are taking directions, using directions, more or less, and not going through their own thinking process. The internalization of values among the modern generation has not taken place on many accounts. Maybe one or two values, maybe. That also is compromisable, depending on the situation. But majority of the values which form the basis of spiritual growth, which form the basis of our Vedas also, which form the basis of Vedanta naturally, that internalization is not taking place somewhere. Parents, people are ignoring rituals. I say, what is the ritual? What is so important? Okay, we have to do something, do it. They are not trying to find out what is the meaning of ritual. Because if you really went to the depth of a particular ritual in the correct way, with the correct teacher, every ritual is so powerful. So powerful. But we have not even tried that. We do something, but we have to do it. We use these rituals, but because we are not internalized, they get dropped. They keep getting dropped. The context of the Purva Vedas is so fantastic, that it's a building block towards the Vedanta section. And together only they form, one whole. But you must understand that. So a lot of talk of Sanatana Dharma, this is going on, and I'm hearing it. That's all. I'm not doing anything else. Maybe listen to it on one side and let it go. Because in the actual actions, their inculcation of value doesn't seem to come off. It is used conveniently. Okay? As in Dvaita, we have used God conveniently, more as a means. So here also, when it comes to Dharma, we use it conveniently. When it suits us, we will do it. When it doesn't suit us, we don't do it. So, how much more deterioration will go on? We don't know. Actually, when you look at the society deeply, two things are happening. On one side, there is erosion of these values, and the second one is those people who are having these values, they are not even talking about it. They don't talk about it. Right? So they are in deep silence, allowing things to happen as it were. And families are lacking these role models that are so badly required for Dharma to be perpetuated and to be understood in a modern context. I've not come across any families so far. Maybe two families I've come across, where the eldest person acts as the kind of a guide. He is the Dharmic guide for that. But 2 generations before there were. That is gone, completely gone. Let us take the next area. What surprises me, there are activists, and I don't have anything against activism. But their activism should not be selective. And you do one thing for being able to show off, get some publicity, the press, and stuff. Also that you're doing some activity. But at the same time, your own behavior doesn't match somewhere. So this gap has to be filled if you really want to be an activist. The next area, which is the most difficult area, that areas which affect everything else in the universe today, is science and technology. Now, if you really look at it, pure science in terms of physics, maths, is very, very close to Vedanta and Vedas. Very, very close. In fact, all the facts revealed, all the knowledge revealed in the Vedas, and which is the basis of growth, which is the basis of teaching, are in fact true by whatever these scientists are now coming forward to understand. To say that space was created seemed ridiculous maybe 100 years ago, but today it is not. Today the scientists themselves know that it is a creation. So similarly, there is a lot of areas where there are more things which seem to be in agreement with each other. And people like Carl Sagan and all that were some of the scientists who actually brought these two, spirituality and science, together in a nice way. And this we should be doing. Our Vedantic teachers should use as much of science as possible, understand as much of science as possible, both at the microscopic level and macroscopic level, to be able to talk to the people, tell them that this is not something we are just saying out of our head. It is an actual reality, the scientific reality. It's something which is there as a fact. You don't have to tell it, when you tell somebody there is a subtle body, then what is a subtle body? Of course, if you have dark matter which is subtle and you have matter which is gross, you can have a matter body which consists of matter and something else which is inside, which is subtle, which you can't see. So I think there is a merging going on here between science and good thing. Good thing for all of us. Okay? And the only thing that is left out is this, which they are going to struggle and they will not reach there or actually, is the area of consciousness. But there are scientists, and I'm sure there are scientists even in the audience today. There are scientists who are coming closer to seeing how consciousness as a principle can be incorporated in a mathematical equation by which you get some kind of a unified theory, because something has to hold the whole thing together, which is what Einstein tried for. All the physicists are trying for today. The single theory which would hold things together. So their struggle will go on because they are working with matter, but some of the scientists are getting closer to and more open to look at what Vedanta is. In fact, I was just reading Einstein, where he said that some of the things that he was able to explore were because of his reading of Gita. I mean, which, when we look back and say, is it really possible? But that's what he said, because we know the things about the universe which are a fact. And that helped him to set up the equation. And he admitted that. So do people like Planck and all that. He says when you look at this small, the very small, then it looks like Vedanta there. So there is a small window opening up there. Maybe if the scientists open up that in some form and come to a stage where they say, only that which is observable we can take into account. What is not observable we will have to leave out. Once they shift their position slightly out of that, they may be able to get the understanding Vedanta's theories. And that could be helpful. On the other hand, with technology, mass production, more variety, right? So these are the banes of technology. So everything can be mass produced. You will have more comforts. You will have more variety, more and more variety. More you can sell. Every season you must sell. Every season you must put your profit in place and so on. So you are making an offering. Today it will not last for 5-6 months because the mind floods. So we are having technology that can make the changes so that your attention can be there at least for a few days, weeks, months. It doesn't go with our Vedantic thinking, but that's the universe we are living in, and this is not going to change. Not in the near future. This impact of technology is not going to change. In fact, what will happen is the movement is going to be greater because the technological wheel is a self-propelling wheel. You started it, but you can't stop it. You cannot stop the technology from moving forward. And therefore, we are heading in a direction about which the end result is still not known. Right? So, the technology is modern, right? We are all modern because of technology, because what we can do, what are the comforts we can get. Any problem which is there materially, we can get the comforts for that. And then, of course, technology is also the cause of war and violence. When they have an equation, that war comes from peace, armaments. The more armament you keep stocked inside, there will be peace. This is the equation they have drawn. So even when there is no war, there is a war going on, keeping on accumulating the armament, and they become obsolete. So you have to keep on putting that in the system. And of course, when the war is there, like right now, the people who are most benefited are these entities which are producing the mass equipment, using the best technology, and so on and so forth. Right from the nuclear bomb to anything else that they're using now, laser guns, whatever you call it. So technology has this great negative aspect, and this it gives some comfort, but in the real run, we don't know. I mean, whether it's something we can hold on to and where it's going to take us. So too with communications, into communications and technology. There is a silver lining there also, just like in science. Okay? Because it is possible to communicate great lengths. People in this webinar are sitting right from California onto Japan. Every corner of the world can be covered at a particular point of time about something you think is important, which can be communicated. And therefore, I think it's time that Vedantic teachers must use this. They are already using it. Okay? It's not that they are not using it. Zoom, and now we'll get 3D effects, look as if you're actually sitting in the room and communicating with them. This is going to be the world of tomorrow. And therefore, this old idea that the teacher, the student should be at the feet of the teacher for a length of time, for some education to take place, will again come into very serious question. Up to now, the communications were such where, well, that is true, that was true. Right now, we have to see. It's an open question as to whether one can have the same influence, whether we can teach in the same way, whether the same kind of processes can be followed without actually being with that person personally in a space. Okay. So that is a silver lining. Of course, the point is that education can take place. Education can take place. So that is an opportunity for teachers that is opening there, right? In the area of communications. But so far as the mass production, variety and war, and also the food, because the effect of technology has been the kind of food that is being produced, the violence that is being perpetuated, the mass cannibalism kind of thing goes on. Almost looks like are these humans actually? When you look at the way the food is produced and the chemicals that are being used, it's practically impossible to eat now. So we are here in a very isolated place, and even pure milk, which is not freezed or anything like that, and the curd makes so much of a difference. The fruits which are not chemicalized, this gives an entirely different taste. We are lost all of that, and we are polluted the food system because of technology. So this is the reality. So what is sattvic food? What is non-sattvic food? What is rajasic food? Tamasic food? There is a big question mark. I think most of them will fall in the tamasic section. Either rajasic or tamasic section. Mostly in tamasic. So technology has not been good. We know that the impact of technology is not good on many fronts. In a short scale, small scale, yes, but not in the longer context. Let's look at parenthood. Okay? What is the equation going on here? I'm sure all of you must have dealt with it before also, and it's not going to be anything new. The equation is very simple. Money equals happiness. Okay? Attachment equals love. Attachment equals love. Parenthood is becoming a boiling pot, where parents are debugging their roles. Well, they may go to work or not go to work, but they are debunking their roles. They are not performing their roles. They are not setting up the models that are required for a child to emulate. And Dharma is being taught through direction. Do this is not correct. Don't lie, don't steal. Now, nobody is going to learn from that. So long as you are under control of a superior person, more grown person, you do listen to that. But nobody is explaining to them. I talked about it before. What is the value of that value? Do you really sit down and explain to the children? Is the school doing that? Is the college doing that? No one is doing that. So we are having a free education. And then you say, okay, let life take care of it. They will learn that. Because life is its own way of teaching things. And the sad part is that, I remember some time ago, I saw some old people, maybe 80 plus people. They were sitting in a place and they were discussing something. And during our times, they would tell stories, exchange stories from the Ityasas, and have fun with the children. They would tell themselves that and stuff like that. When you go closer to the conversation, what are they talking about? They're talking about real estate. And what real estate for whom? For their grandchildren. So there is more discussion on those issues rather than on actual Dharma and its implementation, the teaching of the Dharma. I don't think people are seeing that as a responsibility at all. They go, I did another little exercise, stood outside large Infosys place where about 60,000 people are working. And standing out and telling them, I'm doing a small study on Vedas. Do you know what is the Veda mean? They are highly educated, earning 15 lakh, 10, 15 lakh, 20 lakh. 90% of the people never heard about what is Veda. Never heard about it. Through their school, through their college, they never heard. This is the kind of parenthood we are coming to just now. And it's very frightening what's happening. Few of them, they are doing rituals, some rituals. They have no idea what they are doing. There are few families which are carrying forward the rituals. I think by next generation that also will come. Because in the West, the fall of the West has been largely because of the unit family breaking down. And we are seeing that, hints coming into the Indian system. If they break down here also, the unit family breaks down, then we have a real problem. In fact, yesterday or day, a very interesting thing, a father has sued his son and daughter-in-law for 5 crore rupees in court, saying that they have not given any grandchildren and they don't have any grandchild and they are not taking care of them as parents. So they said that since they are not prepared to listen anymore, they will go to court on that case. This is something we used to hear here in the West. But now it's happening with parents, it's happening with children, it's happening with parents, and so on and so forth. Where it will go, we don't know. But the movement will be very fast. Okay? It will not be the slow moment of change that we have seen earlier. It will be a very fast moment. Within a couple of 2 centuries, 2 decades, the change would have occurred. I've not touched upon certain other things. I'll leave just now. Now, when you look at education, this is another modern idea of education. The equation is very simple, right? More fees means better education. Of course, we are not talking about dharmic education or anything like that. We are talking about education of phenomenal things. The more the fees, the higher the fees, the better the education. I mean, this is fallacious. And of course, we are training you because you have to be the best. You have to compete, you have to be the best. There will be many people down the line. You can't be number 2. You have to be not also rank. You have to be number 1. This is what education system is doing to us. I had the good opportunity at one time to pass through one of these management schools also. Was a faculty in 2 or 3 of them. But now it's become very intense because children are more focused on what they actually want of the system. Previously, we used to walk into it. So the education system doesn't provide you with the basics of what the family needs. Family is not providing. Who is going to give it? I don't know. The next area that I want to come into, and of course, teachers are always role models in education system. Well, not more than 2-3 generations ago, the village teacher used to be a role model. He would hardly earn anything, but the amount of respect that they got from the community, they used to barter things, bring them food, bring them things that he needs, go to him for advice. Those are completely gone. And still we don't have, in a group of, let's say, 100 faculty, even 1 or 2 faculty who can play the real role model. Because the equation is, I get a salary, I'm an employee. teacher, but I'm an employee. Why I'm giving you the equation is because based on the equation only, everything else happens, right? That's why I'm giving you the equation side by side. Because if you're going to change the equation, then some changes can happen. So these are very deeply embedded ones. Okay? Then let's come to relationships. Today, the relationship is seen as more artha and kama, more fun, more for pleasure, also more for happiness as well as pleasure. Where attachments equal love, unconditional love is unknown, high level of integrity in love is unknown. So it's a kind of a attachment in relationships. On putting barriers in relationships is what is happening. And the major issue today in the modern world is mental health. It's not physical health. It's not physical health. There are ghosts walking around the roads. Every day there are ghosts walking around. They look perfectly normal outside, but they are ghosts. Because the mental issues are so overpowering, dominant. And it's only becoming more and more. Thanks, of course, to all the else things that we talked about in terms of technology, education, dharma, all those things. So the relationship, as we know, is for what? It's for growth, right? Basically, we talk about relationship when we talk about Veda, we talk about Vedanta, we know that relationship is an opportunity for growth, not an opportunity for restricting growth. It's not an opportunity, it's not also an opportunity for fun, because those things will wither away very fast. But this somewhere is getting missing very badly. And strong decisions are taken based on this. What is attachment, what is love. Therefore, there is a great intermixing going on, the impact of which is not known. Unit family, therefore, has to die. There is no other way. When we look at society, the whole, the mantras are very clear, the equations are very clear. I am the cause, and whatever the result is because of me. I deserve what I get. We know that the reality is far away. But this is what the school education tells us. This is what the parent tells the children. This is how we live, and then we realize that no, it is not so. But this is the one that drives. These are the ones that the motivational speakers speak about. Charge money. They come on YouTube, they come on here, they come there, they come home. They will organize programs worth lakhs of rupees to be able to tell you how I can get what I deserve. In society, because of the lack of actual dharma implementation, policing of dharma has to go on, and this will continue more and more. Policing and justice systems and whatever it is. And it is a right-based system. We are moving from the duty-based society, which in fact takes care of the right of people. The children have been taught, no, forget about your duty, you work. What is your right? And this is happening in this country here, right now, under our nose. So these are this is body. This is modern. Doesn't look very modern to me. It seems that all the seeds for some very serious problems are put in. Now, just as we close, I thought I had some things were going on in my mind. Looking at these huge things, movements that are taking place, many of whom are not in your control. I have some suggestions. Maybe you have other platforms under which you can take it up for full thing. I always like the idea of what do we do? What do we do really? Something we should be able to do, right? Shankara did. He had an idea, implemented it, left it, it is carried on. Now, I don't think that is going to carry. It will be left with few people, right? It will be left, a small proportion of people. But it's not going to impact the full society. That's for sure. So, let us talk about Veda Pathshalas. What I'm suggesting is, we need small Veda Pathshalas. We have 630 odd districts in the country. If we had 6 Veda Pathshalas on half a quarter acre of land, or half an acre of land, bringing out 10 people, it can in fact make a lot of difference to the rural society and to urban society also. Because they are moving away from poverty to lower middle class to middle class. All of them are going to go through this process. And we need large Veda Pathshalas to be able to feed teachers to this Veda Pathshalas in each of the districts of the country. Now, I just did a calculation. If it's, let's say 630, I don't know exactly what it is. And if we had 6 per district, that would be 3,780 Veda Pathshalas. Is this achievable in the country? Of course it is achievable. Of course it is well within the scope of this country. It can be done. And if we do that, then we can say that we are putting some kind of a fabric in society by which these changes can be registered in some way, or altered, or ignored in some way. Okay? We are trying our own bit to put a very small Veda Pathshala in 1/4 of an acre of land to be able to say that yes, this can be done. It doesn't have to cost the earth. And if there are larger Veda Pathshalas able to provide us, we will be able to do it. And we need hundreds of thousands, 3,700, 4,000 Veda Pathshalas. And there will be people to support it if you really have something moving. Maybe even the government can come in at some point. It can be a combination of Tantric teachers, it can be a combination of the public who are well off. It can be a combination of the government, NGOs, who can do this. But this is something we have to seriously do. The second one is communication should be very closely linked to the scientific language by teachers. The more closer we go to the scientific language, I think the people will start appreciating it and will not see it as a dry subject. Okay? It's not a dry subject. It's a very fascinating subject. What's dry about it? Nothing dry about it. So this communication, we have to link it very closely with the scientific development, pure scientific development that is taking place. It is for the scientists to say whether this can be done, this will be of any help or not. The third thing, which is an important one and which everybody will not agree, I feel that the intellectual knowledge of the Atman and Brahman by itself does bring about behavioral change. A person, institution that we put up, or the person who need not go up to be a Jivan Mukta stage. Among the people who go, there will be very few who will go to that stage or can go to that stage. But there will be a lot of people who will be there who are intellectually aware. And maybe some of the old equations are broken. So how do we make this happen? Where a large number of people become intellectually aware of this concept of Atman and Brahman, and therefore learn to deal with other issues which we have raised before in a different way. This we are trying out. Okay? What I have tried out a small experiment. Tattva Bodha, Atma Bodha, and Bhagavad Gita in the Vedantic interpretation. Whether it brings about any behavioral change, or whether they can understand the concept of Atma and Brahma. And I tell you, many people actually could. And I was surprised to see that actual behavioral changes at work, at home, for myself and others, does occur with this intellectual. Therefore, we have to see people like your organizations are doing a lot of programs to see whether some kind of a mass teaching takes place on this to the relevant groups. What are these focus groups? First is, of course, the scientists themselves. If the scientist speaks out, then it makes it much easier because it affects other communities, including education, including people who are senior, including people who are working, and so on and so forth. So the scientist group is an important community which must be open to the idea of it. Second is younger children. Younger children need to be brought into this. And we know that bringing it in at that 5, 6, 7 years age goes deep. And there are some institutions who are trying out mantras and some Gita chanting, things like that, where they start thinking in a slightly different way. Right? Their memory increases. So another target group is this small kids. Third target group is women. Yeah. You say, why women is a target? The reason why it's a target group is because if you look at asana classes they used to do in yoga, even the accommodation was designed for 80% women, 20% men. If you go to a Vedanta class taken by a very good teacher, who is a Jivan Mukta, 80% are women, 10% are 20% are males. Where are the men going? How are you going to approach them? So there is a problem here. So there is a big gap, even in the spiritual knowledge. If one party gets and the other party doesn't get. So I think women suffer more because of these changes. It goes deeply into the psyche and they come in, they want to know. The attitude of men is slightly different because they are engaged in work, more rajasic. And therefore, we have to be able to address the corporate somewhere. I remember years ago, the men will never come to a class like this. But if the company says, okay, you sit in the class over here, we are paying you salary, they will sit. Years ago, Swami Chinmayanda used to do Gita talks in the place where I used to stay. I was working with datas at that time. I requested him, Swamiji, can you please give us a talk for the talk? I'll sit with the chairman and managing director, top people. And he said, really? Will they all sit through that? Just going to waste my time. I said, no, Swamiji, they are more ethical people. So he spoke to them for 1.5 hours. And believe it or not, it had a tremendous impact in that management. Of course, we could not pursue it after that, but it had a tremendous impact. They made certain shades of changes in their policy, things like that, because the top man was there. So we have to target corporate leaders. We have to target males somewhere. I don't know where we are going to choose the offices. So these are some of the Gita in higher education, engineering. People are trying it out in management. I heard somewhere they are going to introduce that. So the teachers must be, of course, very cautiously picked, because you can say anything you want. That kind of situation should not happen. And because of this communication, which is so free, what has happened is more of a vitiation. Because people are giving opinions rather than the Shastra itself. So the authentic teachers have a lot of work to do, to do a lot of work, both at the district level as well as the individual level, to train up and build. It looks very overwhelming, I know. It looks very, and it is overwhelming. The pace of change is going to change faster. So what are we going to do about it? How can we do it? How can we deal with it? I'm sure there will be ways and methods of which at least we try to get a grip of the situation. Because one thing is very clear. The way in which the pace of technology is going, 20 years from now, people will be overwhelmed with many things. And all our good teaching will remain within this small group and segment of people who will probably keep quiet or remain at Jivan. Om Purnamadam Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vachishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om.
Thank you, Swamiji. You really identified a lot of ills in the modern India and in the world, and how technology is a double-edged sword, and how various modern ills can be addressed by even the Tattva Bodha and Atma Bodha, and some of them to be, Shankara's books to be introduced, can make a big difference. And what we need to do going forward. Right at this time, there are no specific questions that have come from the audience yet. And if there are any other kinds of things that we should do, it really got me thinking. Especially because I come from a technology industry, Apple computer. I'm seeing like how addictive these phones and iPads and all of them are. Now everybody sits in the same room, but they actually keep on listening to their own devices. They keep looking at their phones. Nobody interacts with anybody else. So there are many negative impacts that the technology creates. While there are some wonderful things it can do, there are issues which we need to reconnect to the source, like Atma Bodha, probably some of the Bhagavad Gita, some of those, maybe we can address some and start some deeper introspection into who am I and what is my connection to the world and how do I go forward. Thank you for addressing those.
Hari Om.
Thank you.
I know that many people will not agree with what I say, but it's okay. I think that if we are a little stirred up and a little overwhelmed, it's good. I think that that's why probably questions may not come. I'm not surprised, because nothing really is there to say that something is wrong. But the kind of work that needs to be done is what Indica is doing now, has to be done on a real massive scale, and fast. How this is going to be constructed, maybe you require a separate platform on how to make it happen case, because otherwise,
Swamiji,
I'm very
sorry
grateful.
to interrupt.
Thank you.
There are a couple of questions, Swamiji, which have come about. They are, one question is, talking of technology, is there a plan to bring Vedas along with Sayana Bhashya translation to the masses? Only foreign universities seem to be doing it. Is there any way in which we can do something about it?
Yeah, actually, recently you heard that Sanskrit has been put as a language.
Yeah.
Has already been put as a. It can be put. There is no reason why it cannot be put at all. And that's why I told you that it is not necessary for a person to be close by now because of this moving technology. And also the next one adding to that is the 3D effect of the person being actually being there in front of you and interacting with you. It is going to happen. It's the only question of when, right? It's the only question of when. And if you say it's going to happen 1 year from now, I'm saying it's probably going to happen in 3 months' time. If it's going to take 5 years from now, I think it's probably going to take in 1 year time. So yes, it is going to happen. And there's a great opportunity there. Very great opportunity. That opportunity must be used.
There is one more question, Swamiji. How would meditation help according to Vedanta? There is a question from Christine Gopinath.
Yeah. Meditation, there is a basic difference between Yoga Sastras and Vedanta. Okay. In Yoga Sastras, we talk about a period of thoughtlessness, which will give you siddhis. In case of Vedanta, we say siddhi is actually an experience thing. So it is not the reality that you're saying. You will get some experiences, out of the world experiences. You may get some gifts like that, but that's about it. Here, what we are doing is there are two parts to it. One is the control of the mind, first, to be able to purify it. And to be able to give it a direction. After that, use the same mind with a clear buddhi to be able to do the process of assimilation of the knowledge of Vedanta. There are two parts to it. So the first part, someday, why is it required? Of course it's required. You have to do meditation. You have to do meditation enough to be able to control your thoughts. If you can reach the stage of thoughtlessness for some period of time, it's good. But you don't have to remain there. So long as you can know you can control it by your will, that's good enough. And you can keep out the things that you don't want, that's good enough. Then the part of the mind is used for nididhyasanam, whatever the process that is used for. It's very critical. Very critical.
There is one last question, Swamiji. Indrani says, can we start online Gurukulas? Is that possible?
That is a question I am asking. That is the question I am asking.
Okay.
And I'm saying that it is probably going to happen. It's probably going to happen. Some of the older teachers may find this very reprehensible because we are used to traditional way of people coming and sitting. Even the kuti that we are accommodating only 8 people or 10 people. They'll be here, they'll spend time. If they spend time with the master, sitting down, understanding, clarifying, going back, coming back again. Okay, this is the old traditional way. But in the new way, this may not be possible. So yes, it should be possible. It is more difficult. You may not be able to get people to the highest stage of Jivan Mukta.
Right.
When people come to a stage of good intellectual understanding, there will be some people from there who want to move to the Jivan Mukta state, and they will move into an ashram or to some place where they can be isolated. But the others,
yes,
so long have those who have the intellectual knowledge and the behavioral changes can take place, it's okay.
Yeah, it is.
Also, it is not necessary to go through the Purva path. That is not necessary to do. We focus only on the Vedanta spiritual. Because how much ever you do, remember, it will always be less.
Right.
Any number of lives will not be adequate for knowing that. But it is possible to do this.
Possible.
So our focus should be entirely on this. This is what we are trying to experiment in our with program that we are now beginning to offer. Right? We are beginning to offer those programs where we have got Tattva Bodha in the morning and we've got Gita in the afternoon. And in between, we've got asanas. So people say, oh, I came for yoga. Okay. All three. But we have to see what is the impact. I'm seeing in an informal way, a lot of changes can occur and are happening. Because that is the power of Vedanta. We should not underestimate that power.
One last comment somebody made, Swamiji, this Sayana Bhashyam for Vedas is so important because we are so dependent on the Muir and Griffith for English translations. They are very inconsistent. So there is a request for some of the Sayana Bhashyam and some of them to be published. So that's the last comment. And so people are really liking what you said so far. And thank you for a wonderful real life commentary on what.
So some cough and this thing was there, you will excuse me for that. So thank you very much. Be blessed. We hope there will be other platforms in which we can meet.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes, Swamiji. So, namaste. Hari Om.
Hari Om.
And this evening, we have a talk. This evening in California, in the next morning, tomorrow morning, at 7 o'clock to 8:30 a.m. on 18th morning, we have a talk by Sri Ram Mohan Subramanian on creation and causality in Advaita. Please join and enjoy it. Thank you.